Ah, cool. Alright, it's been ages. I've been trying to think about a decent way to introduce the game for today. Let me find. I will. Sorry, I didn't have my tab ready. I have to go find it. Ooh, and that reminds me, I need two. Alright, so previously, you guys set out on finding out what this house on the hill was all about. Inside, you found Brothor and some other strange character sort of discussing, and you intruded on them rather rudely, and were thus attacked by this flame spirit, which the strange character sort of set upon you as both Brothor and that character fled. You destroyed the flame spirit, luckily, before it set the entire house on fire. And then afterwards set out to sort of explore the house. Doderic, you did attempt to try and find where Brothor and this other guy got to, but due to the hour of the night, that was proved a bit too hard. Back in the house, you guys descended down into the basement, and you found some things in storage, as well as sort of an arcane desk with a heap of notes and such scrawled out, and you investigated the area and had a look. You found a journal written in a language that none of you could understand, but it did depict some illustrations of some dwarves and some minerals and some mining tools and such like that. You also found what you believed is the Enchanter's Journal, and you found some information basically saying that the Enchanter had been using these crystals, Zimborite crystals, and attempting to infuse them with various parts of magic. You also opened a couple of crates down in that storeroom, and you found what was sort of like powdery white dust with some large sort of chunks. And Doderic, you smashed one of those chunks up against the wall and it blinded everybody, so you pocketed a few of them. You also found a body laying in the basement there that doesn't look like it had been decaying for long, but it was entirely sucked of all of its insides. It was very skeletal in its remains. And you found a second one in the opposing room downstairs, which was dressed in the cultist uniform. Chug scored big. He looted what appears to be a magical die, and also looted a red gem of some sort. Now, towards the end of the session, there was also a well in this room, and Lefner heard some strange sounds coming out of the well, and the group decided to lower Doderic down. And down he went, and he saw some very strange humanoid, fleshy creatures feasting on a pile of dead bodies down in the bottom of that well, and to which he was hauled promptly up. That's where we left the session, as Doderic is being pulled up into, or back into the basement.
Yep, back down there. How many did I see? 4 ghouls?
Yes, you believe you saw 4 moving humanoid figures. Did I say ghouls? Alright.
Yeah. Otherwise, how did we all get on the same page? Yeah, I think it is. Because I remember you mentioning that they like to eat humans, like dead flesh and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so you did. You saw 4 undead ghouls feasting on the pile of bodies down in the well.
I say we send the pally down there and you can roll his dice and just see what happens.
Dropping hammer down the well.
I had a plan. Go on me another time. We drop it down there with the rope on it. Drop. 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 Lift. Actually, he did say that if dropping will set it off. And as long as the rope's attached to it, we can keep it up, right? I think we can, and if you can, let's go. They're only not the prone, I want to get them. Oh, it doesn't really do any damage. Stop, oh.
So does anyone remember what we were kind of like doing?
We were gonna throw you down.
Alright, so you guys were trying to investigate activity of the cult. Through the notes of the journal, you derived that the enchanter has been working with the cult. The cult had, there was like a document which details shipments coming in and out. And I know there's a name for it, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But you found that document which was detailing, yeah, the cult was supplying, manifest, thank you. Yeah, was supplying this enchanter with crystals, compensated with gold as well for him to experiment on these crystals for a means that you guys don't yet know. Or yeah, you got your suspicions, I presume, but it wasn't written in this document.
Right, and we found a well in here, and there's like, we don't have any indication this is used for anything besides the body. Well, I thought about it, but
They converted that into like giant monsters.
so there might not be any point for us to go down there. What do we know about ghouls? Do they like immune to anything or weak to anything? Can we roll to see if we know that sort of stuff?
Yes.
Would I have a chance of knowing that from my studies in history and lore over the years? Combined with our paladin love of paladin life, maybe come up with it.
Alright. Are you all going to discuss and try and remember as a group if you know what these things are? Actually, I think because Doderic has seen it, Doderic, I'll get you to roll an intelligence check, please. Now, apparently, I was reading, when you do checks, you don't add your proficiency to a straight intelligence or a straight stack check. You only add your proficiency to a straight stat save.
Got 11.
11? You know that the ghouls, they attack with claws and they bite. You also know that they, Apples is gone again, that their claw attacks, their claws have a venom which causes paralysis.
I don't like my chances with choosing. I could try and sneak around and I don't know, look, but then I can't do very well in the dark. So. I think we thought that there was like a tunnel. We could probably try and like scope around and see if there's another entrance to it besides the well, and then go in as a group. Or we could try and sneak down the well as a group. Yeah, and then we'd all be down there.
I dropped my hammer. Hopefully that will stop some.
reckon that.
Come back day if we're going to do that. We have to try and seal it up and also scatter around outside to keep the wall from turning. Well, but it doesn't have to.
Alright, what are you doing?
Is there anything around that we can obviously cover up as well with?
You could use the perception. Roll perception.
There's that buddy.
I got an 8.
An 8. You have a look around, but you know the crate lid that you used to lever off the previous box would fit lightly over the top.
Anything heavy or some of that?
Well, there's all those rocks in that jar next to it.
The lid over it. A bunch of rocks on top.
The crate itself is rather heavy. It would require 2 of you to lift it.
Crate lid or the crate?
The crate. So if you to lift the bottom of the crate up.
Yeah, we can be capable of doing that.
Give it a minute. Well, they've probably been down there quite a while. There's been bodies there, so that's not fun. The only thing we need to worry about is the time it takes to go back and come back here. Is that maybe that dwarf will revisit. Is there any information that will identify that dwarf around? Is there any identifying documents or?
The enchanter fella you saw. All investigation.
So I don't add my plus this?
No, you do.
Or
No. You only don't do it for straight stat checks. So your strength, your constitution, etc.
I don't think that works. 13.
13. You have a look back through the enchanter's notes, and then just in case there's something that you've missed, but there's nothing apart. Yeah, there's nothing in the book that sort of gives an indication about who he is.
How should we, if we go back up, we bootstrap upstairs, is that possible? We want to go back up, and we can like bootstrap the 2 doors in and out somehow, or?
No. I say we just go. Put too much effort in this.
Alright, let's go. Oh, someone should ride the horse really quickly, otherwise it's all going to go slow. Yeah? No?
I'm scared of horses, but not me.
Like we send one person back on the horse, and the other 3 hang.
Alright, up you go, Lester.
I'll go on the horse.
Alright, so you're all heading back to town.
Lester's taking the horse and racing back and getting the lady.
Did I? I can't remember that.
Yeah, you did.
So you 3 standing guard of the house.
Are we going to look for the cave with no, there's enough of them there that they do, like at the well, they don't necessarily have exits. I say we hide in the house and see if the guy comes back while Lester goes for a wander.
Alright, now, it is late at night. It was around midnight when Doderic went off to search for Brotor as he fled the house.
We've taken a lot.
Oh, you have too. Sorry, it's been so long. That's right. It's during the day. It's about midday.
We all took a tiny bit of damage from
that be blowing up the crate.
That's right.
How much is 90 feet? You got maxed up.
A couple of you dodged it, and a couple of you copped damage. That's right. Just from the shards.
Alright, well I go and jump on the horse, get my bearings to town,
Yep.
park out an appropriate path to make sure that I don't get lost on the way down, and head towards town.
Alright, can I get you to make a survival check, please?
I'm just gonna die.
18.
18? Alright. You're able to successfully sort of navigate through the shrub back to the road and then head towards town. And on the horse, it does take you a couple of hours to get back to town. And are you just heading straight for the guardhouse? Yep. Alright, you head there. Oh, no. Sorry. Give me a sec. I need to pull up and find out. I think his name is Ander. Ander's sitting at the desk as you walk into the guardhouse. And he's like, hey, how you going?
I desperately need to speak to the captain. Is she in?
Yes, she's just up in her quarters. Do you want me to let her know you're coming up, or are you happy to go up there yourself?
I'm happy to go up there myself.
Alright, no worries. Head on up. So, you head on up. Yeah. You go to Rebecca's sort of office. The door is closed.
Okay, I knock. What do you think?
So there's a... And you hear some shuffling, and the chair sort of just scrape back. A couple of footsteps. Door opens in front of you. Oh, hi, Lefter. How can I help?
First off, is she alone?
Roll a perception.
Terrible.
4. So Rebecca's sort of got the door half ajar, and you can see just a little bit into the room. And from what you can see, there's nobody else in there. But Rebecca doesn't seem guarded, or she doesn't seem to be sort of hiding anything.
Okay. Then I asked if we could speak in private in her office. I have very important news that we've discovered about the further investigation of the
And Rebecca's like, yes, come in. She opens the door for you. You walk in, take a seat. She closes the door, walks back around, sits down at a desk and shuffles some papers, gets some notes and such ready. And she goes, oh, okay, what have you found?
So I go into detail about how we found the town after the murmurs from the townsfolk. We go up and discover that we meet Rotor in there, who was a dwarf that was previously in custody, that was found with us when we came out of the cave, and he was with an unknown dwarf who very promptly attacked us once we opened up the door.
With magic. And Rebecca's just sort of sitting back. She's, Rotor? Are you sure it was him? He's not too bad. We sort of released him after the fiasco downstairs. We felt sorry for him. Are you positive it was Rotor?
Positive. He identified us straight away and was immediately disgruntled and attacked us with an axe.
Oh, I see. Have you brought any evidence of this?
Yeah, I still have that. Only my wounds from the attack. You can see that some of my cloak was laced with a fire attack.
A fire fiend? Oh.
And also disenchanted. That's
And so she goes, oh, and her eyes sort of look at you and go, I can't see this book.
I can show you, but I must warn you that we have left my three companions behind, and I think it's a good idea that we get there post-haste to investigate the rest of the property to all of this service.
Oh, okay. I see. My agents, my fellow townspeople, which I took with me to the Lutka Manor. Do you remember them? They're currently out on patrol right now. They'll be about 15-20 minutes before they return. Once they do, I'm happy to round them up, and we can go back and investigate if you're happy. In the meantime, can I please see this book while we wait for them to return? I'm very curious.
I pass over.
Cool. And Rebecca takes it, starts sort of going through the book, and you just see a little bit of, oh my, and just sort of making little gestures and little ticks as she sort of goes through it. Do you have anything else to ask? Or are you just happy to wait the time?
Do I feel that she understands, or does she know what's going on with the book?
Roll insight.
Still see all of it.
12.
12. She seems genuine. There's nothing about anything that she's done to sort of suggest that she's not interested or that she isn't taking it seriously. Like you feel that it's, it has her entire attention.
Okay. I wait till she's done reading over the book, as I wish to explain what's going on in the basement. Why we're hanging back.
Okay, so Rebecca sort of, she finishes the book, sort of quickly going over, and she says, "We need to make copies of this." And she's, can you wait here, please? And she gets up with the book and goes to walk out the door.
I don't want to stop her. I don't want her to take this away yet.
All right, what do you do?
I can't hear you guys. I'm making this up on my own. Well, alright, I asked how she plans on making copies of the book.
I'm going to go downstairs and talk to Liab. He's a bit of a scribe, but he works for the town guard. I'm happy to take the book and give it to in his possession. I trust him to make a copy of it to put into evidence.
Are we free to access if we may need it for our information?
Of course. But the book, there's not a huge amount in it. I've only just sort of perused over it and seen the majority of it in the last 15 minutes. It shouldn't take you, maybe 3 or 4 hours to transcribe most of it.
Okay, alright, well, I'll release it.
Okay. And Rebecca and she heads downstairs and leaves you in her office.
During this time, I want to do a quick investigation of the papers that she may have been rustling around the house.
Yeah, sure. Roll investigation.
19.
Ooh, that's a good one. You have a look, and there's a couple of notes about a brawl that happened outside the Ripsky's tavern, and there's some several details detailing about that. Which there's this report that she's dispersed the crowd. There was no characters of any particular interest, just a whole heap of drunk, rowdy sort of people. There is a second sort of folio. With the like a case number written up on the top of 7013 or up at the top, but it's closed, and you can see that there's a couple of bits of paper in there. Now, investigation, you're just looking, you're not actually opening and moving and shuffling things around. You're just with your eyes only, just sort of seeing what you can see.
Yeah, I don't want to break goodwill or whatever.
Okay. Apart from that, you see some other bits of paper, which is just sort of detailing meetings and times which she's sort of talked with people. You have a look through, but it seems to be mundane things like catching up for lunch or meeting with family and such like that. It seems more personal than work related.
Alright, I patiently wait for it.
Alright, so Rebecca returns, no longer has the book after about 5 minutes. And she comes in and sits down, and she looks outside and says, "Oh, okay, they shouldn't be too long. Why don't we go downstairs and we'll wait for them.
Oh, wait, stop it. Before we go, just need to understand what we're actually going down to further investigate.
Yes.
And that's where I explain how we believe so far what they're using the crystals for, the amount of bodies that there are in the basement, and the status of the well.
Rebecca certainly looks a little bit troubled. Uh, yeah, bodies. Did you get a count?
It was uncountable of the bodies in the well. There's currently 2 in the basement that have deteriorated, but more importantly, we know there's 4 ghouls that were walking around in the well, and these were the ones that were only visible to us.
Ghouls. You're certain? We haven't seen ghouls around here for years.
See some right now if you want to come in.
Okay. Let's go downstairs. And she goes downstairs with you. You wait about 3 or 4 minutes, and then the 2 guard that you recognise sort of walk in, and they seem a little bit concerned that you're standing in the sort of the foyer and such with Rebecca and just staring straight at them. They walk in and you go, oh, yes, ma'am. Is everything okay? And Rebecca sort of says, continues to tell them that they're needed, and they need to go with you to head back to the house that you had been investigating. And she mentions there should be a few horses that have been returned to the stables by now, and she instructs one of the guards to go and fetch saddles and riding gear. She asks, Lefter, how did you get here? Did you walk? Did you have transport?
No, we have a ride that is checked out and should still be under my name.
Very good. All right, we'll meet you at the stables. And she sort of waits for the other guard to fetch the saddles, and you walk off with the guard that was left and head towards the stables, and you all meet up there.
I was going to say, before I leave, just wanted to ask Anders one question.
Yep.
Does he know the identity of who that house belongs to?
So Anders like, no, sorry. It's been vacant for years. I honestly don't know who owned it. It's always been empty from what I know. I'm sorry I couldn't be of more help.
Is there a registry that we can look at some time? As possibly past history, past owners, transactions,
Oh,
like that?
well, it's outside of the town's grounds, so I'm not sure who you could speak to. But perhaps Mr. Gregory could instruct you. Like if it's anything with that, like he and the council, they keep a lot of the records of who owns what and collect taxes and the like. Perhaps he might know.
Okay, I will take some time to go chat.
All right, so you all head back to the stables. The mounts are very swiftly sort of dressed with their saddles. You're actually quite impressed. You sort of remembered sort of struggling a little bit yourself, having not done it for quite some time. But these guys within about 15 seconds, the saddles on top. They buckle it, just rip, done, ready, and then just up straight on top. Before you know, all 4 of you have set off on each of your own horses, and you're heading back um, towards the house. Rebecca says, "Oh, so might you lead us and show us where we're going?" Um, and I'll get you to roll survival to navigate back through the bush and head back up top to meet with everybody.
15.
15? Cool. You go back to basically where you met the road, and you make a hard left and head straight up the hill through the shrub. Having come back down in the daylight, it was much easier to retrace your steps this time. And before you know it, all 4 of you have now reached the house, have dismounted, and you've led Rebecca inside and the 2 guard.
Sure. So I explained that the house is like this due to the bay that we had to find. And, well, hang on, is Brother still there? No, he ran.
Yeah, Broadhall left.
Okay. Well,
I direct them first to the bedroom where we identify the enchantment book, and then following that we lead them down into the basement.
Okay. So Rebecca, and she sort of just instructs the two guards to just to survey the surroundings, and she instructs one of them after they're finished to remain upstairs and just keep guard of the house in case somebody else turns up. And she follows you into the bedroom and has a look around. It's almost like somebody studying a house for the first time when they're looking to rent. She's just sort of looking up and around, and it's like, okay. And this is where you found the book that you showed me, in here.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. And she follows you throughout the rest of the house, taking note of the burn and scorch marks from the flames of the flame spirit that you fought. And she follows you down into the basement as well. A little bit of a gasp of horror as she sort of descends down and immediately sees the body on the ground. And she sort of looks at it a little bit and sort of looks back to you and goes, "Do you know who it is?"
You mean the body? I've got no idea.
Okay.
They're too decomposed for us to identify.
And she walks over and she leans down over the body and she has a look and she looks around the head and sort of touches it and moves it around, like, completely unfazed by the gore in front of it. She ruffles through the pockets and such and looks around. Goes, "Well, I think he was about 30 years old, human, I believe. I don't know who he might be though. He doesn't seem familiar. The clothes and the face, although it's so hard to tell. I don't think I've seen this person before. Perhaps he's not from the town." And she sort of stands back up and continues to look around. She's starting to walk and notice that there's shards of crystals and splintered wood just scattered everywhere. And she's like, "Was there a battle here?" She's sort of looking down. Look.
Not so much of that, just that these crystals that they use to house the souls are highly conductive.
Conductive. Explosive, perhaps? Okay. And she looks at. By the way, she's greeted the three of you guys, who I presume. Where have you three been? I've sort of. Were you upstairs, or were you waiting downstairs, just watching the well?
Yeah, I was waiting, checking out the windows with the night, making sure it was like all ready to come back.
Okay.
I was watching Apple.
Sorry, I should have narrated that. You were greeted as the two guards have sort of walked around. And now you're sort of just keeping the two guards company. Chug, you're on the west side of the house, just sort of standing with the guard and looking out into the trees. And Juan and Doderic, you're sort of with the other guards standing at where everybody's sort of been arriving and leaving at the house and just sort of minding the horses and such. Lefter, you're down with Rebecca still, and she goes into the second room and has a look and sees the other body. She does the same thing, sort of examines it physically and moves the robes around to see if she can see any sort of identical marks. I get you to roll perception. Or insight, rather. 17. So you can see that she's checking for physical markings, like tattoos or birthmarks, perhaps scarring that might identify or give a clue as to who this might be. Teeth remaining and such, as she opens the skull and looks inside as well. Again, she stands up and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. The body's too, decomposed. The skin color, it's all off. I don't know who this is either." And she sort of looks around, and you can see that she's a little bit, concern is starting to go over her. Now, she looks back to you and says, "You said you had something else to show me as well. Now, have you gone over her with what was downstairs in the well, apart from the bodies? Did you tell her? Yeah, you did. You told her the ghouls were there. Um, and so she goes, right. And where are these ghouls? And you lead her back out into the that first room in the basement and show her the well. And she sort of has a peer down and she says, just for a second. Um, and she sort of listens and you can hear the scraping a little bit and the sort of munching and the odd, the snap of a bone or, as the ghouls are feasting down the bottom. And she sort of pulls back and says, did you have any idea how they got down there? Were the ghouls lowered down? Do you know?
Our information on ghouls are not that strong. You know, they can poison and they love dark places, especially where there's food. But one thing for sure is that there is a large amount of dead bodies down there.
Yeah. Okay. Um, were you going to go down and investigate the ghouls through the well? What was your plan? What was your next move?
We'll take you along, you there. Oh, sorry, answer.
Sorry, what was your question?
Are we all down there at the moment?
No, you guys are upstairs. It's just Lefter and Rebecca there at the moment.
Well, okay, so I suggest to Rebecca that let's go upstairs and reconvene with everyone. So we're talking about a plan after everyone's in.
Alright, so you'll go upstairs.
Yep, go upstairs, call everyone around, and then I explained to Rebecca that the reason we know that the ghouls are down there is because we did lower Doderic with the safety rope around him, and he identified 4 ghouls and also a tunnel exit, which was in the direction of, I can't remember, was it north or?
Yes. So, yeah, to the north.
So now that we know that there's a tunnel exit somewhere in the direction of the north, we're between 2. Whether we somehow lower ourselves one by one down the well, not so wide, and try and fight in their environment, or we investigate to the north and try and find a exit.
Alright, so you suggest that to Rebecca. One, Doderic, Chug, do you add anything or give any sort of conflicting suggestions? What are your thoughts? Okay.
Can't we just like feather float down there and we won't be in trouble? We'll kill them all. We're good.
We've never fought a ghoul before, man.
How tall is the roof? Like, would the ghouls be able to reach up and touch the roof, or somebody hanging from?
Um, it was pretty tall. Maybe 9 feet, 10 feet tall.
That sounds good.
No. Guys, I've got a better plan. Doderic, can we borrow your food?
Trying to get food. Can't do
But
it.
it's not low actually. We put it on the pretty floor, so put him on the roof and then we'll start blasting.
Well, yeah, but I think you have to do like a long rest if you want to do that.
Cheers to the food.
Have him be like fucking fire from the roof onto the roof.
I mean, we still only got one person as well.
Yeah, if they're not touching me, I can Eldritch Blast a day cantrip.
Alright, I'm up for it. I just want to see.
I'm not up for it. Just throwing it out there. We've got extra help. We've got 3 more bodies. I kind of want to use the fodder. Let's go in.
Uh, One, you take the boots off Doderic and immediately come up to a problem. Your foot is actually much larger than his.
True.
I say, leave someone to guard the house, and we know it's yours.
Well, why don't I like just hang down there on the roof, and you guys go look for another entrance, and I'll just
Mhm. Okay. Rebecca, while you guys are talking, Rebecca and the guards have sort of been listening as well, and Rebecca's sort of just like nodding a little bit and just listening to each of you before she throws out her own opinion. And one of the guards sort of pops up and he says, "If the ghouls have got down there, there must be a way for them to have got in. Perhaps we do look for that, because if things get a bit too messy, we can at least get out easily and." Uh, And the other guard says, yes, I agree. I also do not want to risk letting these ghouls start to roam about so close to our town. And Rebecca's like, just nodding.
This is the middle management. They're just copying the shit I'm saying. I wanna pick their brains, being a bit more local to the area than what I am, to see if they've got any recollection of any possible natural caves or entrances around this area, specifically pertaining to that well.
Is he asking the guards and Rebecca?
Yes.
Uh,
Trying to get information out of them to see what they may recognize about the area or the
One of the guards pops up and says, "Yes, I actually hunt here frequently. I've noticed a cave a little bit to the south, down the hill a little bit."
you got a nat 20. Yeah. Alright, I'm with this guy. But do we want to leave someone at the house like Doderic suggested? Are we that concerned? Like I was gone for a good 7 hours trying to get the guards back here. No one came back.
Yeah, it.
Hang on down well, like climb back to
Well, he couldn't climb down though. We had to lower him via the rope. He wasn't walking down the edge of the well.
Yeah, it was too small for him to walk down. It was quite snug. You guys would just be like straight down. You wouldn't be able to have any movements. You wouldn't be able to lift your arms. Doderic can sort of move his arms up a little bit, but definitely can't stand tall on the width of the well going down.
What if you do like an eldritch blast down the well?
And what cave it is?
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the house.
I don't
Okay.
know.
I'll just go with you guys.
All right. So you go outside and you realize that the sun is starting to set. There's still maybe half an hour to an hour's daylight left before the sun's completely gone down. It's just sort of setting past the mountains at the moment and just casting a shadow over your hill. Um, now,
I think I've got ghoul popping.
I reckon.
Are they spawning?
No, we haven't had a ghoul sighting in years. Last time it was led by quite a nasty individual. It took quite a lot of us and some adventurers to put down the necromancer, so to speak, and to kill his ghoul. We had quite a few casualties, but we haven't sort of seen any of the likes ever since, thankfully.
Cheer up, we'll get 'em.
So, you guys, the guard that suggested it, he says, we've got maybe an hour's left of daylight. If it gets to nightfall, it's going to be very difficult to locate this cave. I believe it's down this way, and he wants to know if should we leave somebody to watch the house up here.
No, we should we'll back up there as well.
Yeah, the guard sort of pops up and he says, "I'll keep watch." Rebecca's like, be careful. Any signs of trouble, leave, don't fight. And he goes, with my life. I'll do as you wish. And he sort of stands inside and sort of keeps out of sight of the windows, but you can see what's going on. And just sort of, yeah, hides in the inside of the house. And the six of you guys all start to follow this first guard as he sort of makes his way towards the south and leads you guys. Nothing else you guys are doing before as this happens? You're happy just to follow? He starts to lead you. Now, can I get each of you to make a survival check, please?
I got
19.
9.
A 9. You start following this guard, Chug. You sort of start to feel a little bit, you know, you're okay with him, but after a half an hour of walking in this direction, you start to check your bearings a little bit, and you find that you're not actually heading south. You've been heading a little bit southeast, more so to the east than south.
What does that mean? So you think if it makes one direction, we're not going in that direction. So he's either a fool or he's going to...
No, put my grab him by the shoulder, not hard.
Yeah. He goes, oh, we're heading south, aren't we? I could have sworn this was south. I get you to roll insight. 9. You feel he's sort of telling the truth. There's a wave of honesty over him.
So we correct him and say, no, you're going the wrong way now.
What was the concern that he is leading us the wrong way? More east than south.
We're going more east and south.
And he sort of he stops, and after a few of you are starting to correct him, and even Rebecca sort of pops up and says, I think we have sort of strayed east a little bit." He stops, he looks up, and he's like, shit. Now we've been walking for 30 minutes. I think it's this way. I'm so sorry. And he attempts to start to lead you in the direction of the cave once more. I'll get you as a group again to roll survival.
What way did he say
He's heading a little bit more west. You've been heading southeast. He's trying to correct and then head back towards the west to try and find this cave.
what kind of day is it?
It's getting very close to nightfall.
What way is the sun?
Hopefully west.
Is this the direction we're going?
Can I get you to roll survival?
Well, I just got 14.
Yeah.
I got
11. You know that the sun sets in the east, and the direction that you guys were walking before was towards the east. It's sort of hard to see with the tree canopy and such above you, but you now know. You now know that you guys are heading westward.
I've got a 15 for survival.
Alright. Natural 20. Just 20. Yeah. All right. So Chug, you sort of get to the front of the group and start talking with the guard and saying, "Hey, I actually think more west is exactly this way." And the guard's like, "No, I thought it was." And he's starting to think, "Oh, I'll trust your bearings on this." He goes, "I'm looking for a bit of it's a bit of a gap in the trees. There's some quite large overhanging rocks and such. There's a small trickle of water as well. Not so much of a stream, just a very small trickle coming down from the mountain area. If we can find that, I can find the cave." That's what I'm looking for. So you guys start to head that way. It takes you about 30 minutes. It's almost dark now, but you do come across um, the rocky features that he described. And you all, as a group, arrive, and he's like, "Yes, yes, I know this, but it's getting dark. I'm not sure if we want to proceed unprepared in the dark." Rebecca, she looks at you guys and says, "Your call."
Not much any lighter in the cave. I agree with Tony. Chug. Chug, oh yeah. I agree with Chugging. I felt Doderic could just hang close to him, keep him, help him out. No. Night vision. Well, we've got night vision. He won't, and Rebecca won't. Do we know from history if ghouls are attracted or don't care about light?
Um, I'll get you to roll intelligence, please.
Do I add any modifiers?
Just your just your modifier, not proficiency.
No,
What are your intelligence?
then 5.
No, you're not sure about the nature of what a ghoul might do or think.
Well, then I say to the guard, we don't need to worry about being prepared. We are prepared, and we have light. And then at that, I cast light on my. What the hell am I carrying? Quarterstaff. So I touch my quarterstaff, cast light on it, and it is now a big.
Nice. What's the range of the light on that? Sorry.
It's not that bad. Light is touch one object that's no larger than 10 feet in any dimension until the spell ends. A bright light in 20-foot radius and a dim light for an additional 20 feet.
Okay.
Sounds like a torch, essentially.
Yep. Cool. Uh, guard is okay. We just need to go just down to the south, just a little bit. If we follow this rocky feature just down here, need to go maybe 20, 30 feet, and then we hang right around the rocks, and there'll be a very brief cave entrance there. And he takes you all down. He's got point with you left now, just behind, sort of holding your staff up and giving off light. Can I get a marching order, please?
Oh, I'm first.
I'll sneak up the back and I'll use my knife and kind of make sure that everything's going well and also
I'll stand directly behind Lefner.
Get some digits going.
All right, so Rebecca's going to be behind Doderic, then Chug, then Juan.
before we go there, I'd like to let them keep an eye out for the guard because I don't know why. But
Alright. Following one series of winks, I give second finger up on my left hand and middle finger up on my right hand to identify that I know what he's up to.
I move to the front of the group and then
Okay.
Cool. All right, so you're walking. It takes you just only a couple of minutes, and you follow the guard down, and sure enough, there is a cave entrance there, and it's actually pretty. It's large enough to fit through sort of comfortably, but you do need to duck to sort of make your way in. Against the hillside, there's a bit of a cliff drop with some very rocky, sort of mossy features up the top. It's very damp, this particular area. And yeah, as the rocks sort of come down, they've sort of collapsed to the side, collapsed along the left, and left this sort of cave opening at the bottom on the right. The guards said, "Well, here it is. Who wants to go in?"
I say to him, we all need to go in. He needs your help. Yes.
He goes, "Oh, No, I'm happy to go in, but I don't see too well. Perhaps I'd be better towards the back of the pack.
You're gonna die, mate.
yeah. I said you stick in front of Mesa because we need stick to the front.
Nice smell the can sword.
Can I get you to roll perception? 14. There's a sort of a dank sort of stream, wet, airy sort of smell, and you do smell something off on the air. Though it's faint, it's not the fresh air that you've been accustomed to in the last hour or so walking and trying to find this entrance. Slight hint.
That's what you always smell like, Chug.
Alright, what are you doing?
Go.
Yeah,
Chug,
no,
go.
sort of.
I prod left in the back. I'm like, hurry up.
Alright,
Yeah,
I get a marching order into the cave.
yeah. And we get on going.
I can take trap.
Alright. So, you'll duck and make your way through. Excuse me. Doderic, you just stroll in. Height is an issue for you. And you'll get into the mouth of the cave.
But before we do that, are there any loot rocks or anything around?
Yeah, there's
Around, like
there's
the pebbles and stuff. Like, I'd like to collect a bunch of them and just scatter them over the entrance so we can hear someone walking in. Maybe change.
sure. I guess you to roll survival.
Come on. Oh, yeah. It's
Cool. You spend the next few minutes or so um, easily sort of building up this pile of stacking rocks. You build it up quite tall. Oh, sorry. Are you trying to build to something so if it's kicked, you can see it?
I want it to alert us when, like, essentially a bunch of rocks that will hear them, like, they'll step through it. It'll make lots of noise and hear it coming. But it just won't necessarily alert us so that we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, anything they won't necessarily know that it wasn't there before, but, the loot rock will definitely hear it, like, they're all really loud rocks. But our nice LPUs definitely hear you. They were walk through it, They're well set up traps. It doesn't harm them in a way. It doesn't alert them, just alert them.
Okay. Yep. So you very skillfully are able to do that. Now, you just give me a second. Now, in this cave, it's incredibly narrow. As you go through, there's not much room on the left and right of you to stand abreast. So as you're following through, yeah, it's single file through this. If you give me just a second, I'll actually finish popping down your tokens, and I will bring up the map. So if you want to get, this will take me a couple of minutes because I need to find a couple of characters for the guard and also for Rebecca.
I'm gonna go see if you're back. Not Rebecca. She's gonna be a beast.
How'd you get home, James? A good trip?
Back to Canberra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy drive. I drove, well, sister drove all the way to Albury, and then I drove the rest of the way back. Wasn't too tired, surprisingly.
That's good.
Yeah. Back as well. Started a new job this week.
Oh yeah, how's that?
Yeah, so far so good. It's quite a steep learning curve, but it's quite interesting. It's got like the first 4 weeks fully planned out for me, like each day what they want me to learn, what labs to complete, what training to do. So it's quite involved. And then already going on customer meetings.
That's cool.
What's your role?
Cloud solutions architect.
Oh, we were hired.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you want a job?
How much you gonna pay me?
I'm not gonna pay you shit.
I know you would.
I was thinking of going more that way, but I had a initial that instead of like saying like that, so just over it. I had a big but I was like, holy shit, it looks like a security job.
It looks like a what?
A security job. So you'll be sitting there micromanaging policy, all that kind of crap.
Oh yeah.
Like, well,
Well, the shitload of security on our side, considering the one I'm working for is 100% government secure. And there's a thing called the ISM, which is set by a government department, and they list all the policies that are required to meet the certain security classifications. And we are the only cloud in Australia that is compliant with all 1,500 security classifications, or ISM controls that are required just for protecting.
Yeah, those things are stupid. We've got to deal with that at work.
Yep.
yeah, we're looking at the security on AWS and one of the things, and they're like, oh, everywhere normal's like this. No, data center over here. That's for Washington. Essentially, the US government has like requires them like pay this, like it's all pay, and they're like, yeah, we're not doing that for everything. This is half the US we need to look at something.
Yep.
Better chuck shit on them server, like,
Pretty cool. I was playing around with Docker containers today, and trying to get them all fully HA, and then doing the automated deployments around there. Pretty fun. Not yet. So did Docker today, and then tomorrow I'll be doing Ansible automation for these containers, and then after that it will be the orchestration with Kubernetes.
I want to do that. I've like read like all the benefits of it. And I'm like, one day I'll get to play with this.
It's not good.
Oh no, it looks amazing. Like, holy shit. Go play with it.
If you want to play with it, you can set it up on your own PC pretty easy.
Now I'm also really lazy.
That's why you got to get paid to do it. Like I am.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I've got paid to do this, outside of that. I'm like, no, this is so fun. I can do this. But everyone's like, nah.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Well, at least
Ah,
you guys wear a plate.
While these two humans are trying to identify themselves as actual attacking people.
now, for one reason, I'm just trying to figure out why my character is not. Sorry, my view has not gone. Oh, no, there we go. I just need to update it. Cool.
Well,
You picked up the order from.
Oh, have I? Alright, what was the order?
And, Shard, that, stupid, don't lose me in battle.
yeah, that's right. So it's the third time this.
Ah, sorry.
And I'm going to cast Mage Armor on myself. It lasts for 8 hours, so it should be fun.
Yep, sure.
the two humans are in between us. This guard wants to run away.
Stab him. Being a coward.
Yeah.
Hate
He's a secret, like, double agent.
You do have to, I reckon the stab penalty is all up front.
Can I just confirm, his little avatar thing looks like he's wearing plate armor? Is that the case?
No, he's wearing sort of heavy leathers. Sorry. Much the same as the guard uniform that you guys have, is that solid leather vest. He does he does have a very small Taj shield on the back and a short sword that's sheathed. And both guards have the same weapons. Rebecca hasn't got a shield, but you can see that she's got a smaller, more finesse blade sheathed. All right. So, uh, Chug. So as you sort of go through this cave, you sort of progress through for not too long, maybe 60 feet or so. This tunnel sort of winds around a little bit and then straightens up to where you're at now. Chug, as you approach it though, it's actually there's sort of a very crude door in the cave wall that's on an angle in front of you, but the door has been sort of pushed open a little bit, and you can see uh, very. It's very difficult, but you can see just slightly into the next sort of chamber. It's opening in. It's been pushed in. Um, yes, as you guys have been walking through the cave, the stench has been getting heavier and thicker. It's not at the point where it's so thick that it's heavy on the tongue as you breathe it in, but it's enough to be very very off-putting at this point. And to even the guard that has been with you is like sort of coughing and sort of holding over his mouth, and he looks a little green.
As we're going along, as we were going along, did we notice that the cave walls look sturdy, or
Yeah, it looks like it's been tunneled sort of through at this point. The natural part of the cave you've sort of gone through already. It was incredibly shallow, but this has been tunneled through.
they're breaking holes in the roof up, or
No, just rock. It's very small. Like you can reach up and touch the ceiling quite easily. Uh, Doderic, he can sort of run little circles around if he needs to, but he sort of can't touch the ceiling. But it's probably about 7 foot tall. This ceiling. And only maybe 3 to 4 foot wide. Like you don't have much berth on the left or the right to be able to, yeah, through swinging a sword in open arc where you are right now would be rather difficult. You'd be very encumbered.
for the nerds, I'd like to sit behind the ceiling.
Okay.
I really want to get that third cover from that. Johnny.
All right. So Chug, you sort of have a look in, but you don't. I'll actually do it properly. Roll perception.
On that one.
14. You have a peer through, but you're not really hearing or seeing anything at the moment. To the best of your knowledge, this room is either got an incredibly stealthy threat or it's empty. There's not much giving away that there's a presence there. Yep. So you sort of push it, and the hinges sort of grind, and the door sort of lets go. As I said, this is a very crude door, and it sort of falls in. Um, you have a look at the door, and you can see that it's sort of been like it's crudely made in the fact that this door's just sort of been wedged in with this sort of makeshift hinge at the top and bottom. But the door's sort of bent a little bit, and it's come out of the hinge, and it just falls down as you push it. It opens up into now, let me do this. So as you walk into this room, you can see the door's landed, but it is quite empty. There's not much going on. However, at the back of the room, you can see two figures which you have never seen before. Um, as a person who worships a deity, these forms are not human. They don't have the bipedal sort of features. They got several sort of arms and legs, and almost a very crustacean-y or insecty sort of head. Um, it's actually quite fear, not fearful, but it's quite intimidating, these structures. And there's two different forms. One which appears a little bit more feminine, and the other one which is more masculine, told by the size of the statue, especially the upper torso and such. And they're standing over a brazier.
These are statues, yeah?
They're statues, yes.
So would you say the face sort of kind of like the predator face?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep, that's a good depiction.
And what is the This is a dead end.
Hey, no, there's a further tunnel heading out to the right, just behind the rubble. And as you move into the room, you can sort of see that continues to lead on.
Well, I asked Rebecca if she has any ideas what the statues are.
And she sort of has a look in a little bit of a face of horror as she walks in, and the mouth sort of opens up, and she's, oh, those are hideous. And she just sort of looks, and when you ask her, has she seen? She's like, no, I've never seen this before in my life. But it looks like some sort of offering, perhaps. I didn't. Who would do such a thing?
I walk up to one of the statues and say, "What do you want?"
Sure,
The statue does not respond.
it does not.
No. Do you see any obvious markings or anything that looks like that figurine? Like the same mark?
I'll get you to roll investigation.
I want to assist. I'm curious too.
Okay, with advantage.
That's fine. We have a decent one. Also that has yeah, 15.
So 15. You have a look. You carefully study the statue. It takes probably a good uh, 10 or 15 minutes. And as you're studying this, um, Rebecca, she stops and, what's that? I hear something. As she's sort of looking, um, do you continue to look?
I look at her and ask what she knows, what she's talking about. And then mumble and
Okay. So Rebecca sort of stops and she goes, I swear I heard a noise of something, and she points down towards the corridor to the east there that you haven't explored yet.
I choose just from behind the rubble, try and get a bit of a look at what's going on down that one.
Okay, can I get you to roll perception? How long does your light last, by the way?
An hour.
An hour. Okay.
11.
11. You have a peer down, but you don't really see anything apart from the cave peeling off to both the north and the south. You don't. You do sort of listen, but there's no further noise.
Well, I advise her that I'm going to stand guard. I'm going to refresh my line and let one be.
So you're going to look at the statues as well. I'll get you to roll your own investigation, please.
No, you stay there. No, stay there.
15. So you continue to have a look as well, and one sort of going over. Which statue did you go up to? One? Are you going over both, or just one in particular?
Well, I don't know. Over 15 minutes, I assume I'm over it, like having a good look at both. Just just making sure like I assume they're relatively sized to what we're seeing here. Like,
Yes.
that's not
Yeah.
them. Yeah. So I'm combing over all of it.
I should say this chamber is quite a lot taller than the previous one. The longer do you feel sort of encumbered with the roof. This one is about 10 or maybe 12 foot fall, and it peaks into the center as both the outside walls sort of come together at this sort of pinnacle or a peak at the top in the center. Um, the statues where they've been dug deeper into that particular area deliberately, and the statues stand about 8 foot tall, and they would be uh, more or less like a bulky, maybe Chug, which is his half orc size. If he was scaled up to about 9 feet, that would be about the size of yeah, the size of them.
So yeah, I'd say I definitely over 15 minutes have gone over both of them.
All right, so Jug,
And
you,
then
yeah, sorry.
also I'd be like just keeping a measure out for some weird magic, like keep them out. Like if I notice some crazy shit going on, I want to like basically like try and burst some throat. I once had a rat get up and it noticed
um, Alright, so you're sort of investigating. Nothing's moving or feeling like rats are going to explode over you, and this gives you a wave of confidence and relief as well. But as you sort of go over it, Chug begins to examine the opposite statue, and when you're finished that one, you move to his, and he sort of swaps with you, and you're both sort of going over them. You do find the symbol very carefully etched into the backs of all four hands. Now, each statue has got these four arms sort of coming out and these two legs. And on the backs of the hand, the signet symbol sits, almost tattooed and dug into the back of the hand. It doesn't sit embossed out. It's carved into the back.
Progress.
I suggest we all sit back and I ask when the rest of us are finished.
Yeah. I keep that shit on
Should we
going.
push to bring in one of the hands to the group?
Okay, why don't we specify it as a brain thing? Throw in one of these people while we're
If that's what you want to do, I just wanted to like push to bring everyone back and maybe get like a legit roll fucking evil demigod picture stuck to your web. I don't know.
doesn't it look like there's room for a ring to fit in there? I thought you just saw the tip that
Yeah, well you said it's like dug in instead of just like popping out, so I assume you push the ring into it. Is that right, Darty? So they look the same size?
The size on the back of the hand does appear to be larger.
A lot larger.
I think they've just engraved the signet symbol in the back of the
Oh,
hand.
so
Is that what it is?
are they the same?
Yes.
Same thing we were showing.
Yes.
Alright, well I'm gonna pick Rebecca's brain and when she mentioned that they dealt with ghouls when there was another necromancer that they had to take. Does this symbol have any correlation to that previous necromancer?
Rebecca sort of she takes a step back, looks at the ring, has a look at the statues, and she says, "No, oh, it's just a little girl at this, around this time, maybe of age 9, 10. My father led, um, or was a member of the force that tried to stop the necromancer. But no, I don't remember of any stories or anything depicting anything. There's these statues, all these symbols that you have." And the guards is sort of, as he's sort of walked in and he's taken a look at the statues, um, he's looking very nervous. Um, as someone who was once uh, quite solid and very composed, he looks completely out of his element. And yeah, he's just, yeah, he doesn't look like he wants to be there at all. And these statues are really sort of driving that home for him.
Alright, well I'll investigate the brazier.
Okay, I get you to roll investigation. Uh, is there anything you're looking for in particular?
Well, let me do a physical check first of, any etching or instruction or anything noticeable on the outside would be that. And then following that, I'd like to sort of like arcana kind of see what magical presence I can feel over it.
Okay. Um, so you walk over to the brazier and you have a look over. You don't find any transcripts or anything that are on there in particular. The brazier is on a very stone built pedestal. The pedestal comes up to about your waist in height, and it's been built with these very whitish cream stone bricks, which are 4 bricks to make the full circle, and each, as the layers go down, they're turned just slightly. So there's a very faint, if you can make it out, very faint spiral in the gaps in the bricks as it sort of comes up. It's not like the brick of a house where the bricks underneath, the gap sits evenly in the center. Now these are just off and they sort of come down. So you get this very faint spiral in the bricks. The brazier is a very a basic bowl, copper bowl. Um, it's dinged up a little bit, but it's quite large and it's a little bit thicker than what you expected. Inside the bowl, you can see dust and some stones and a little bit of ash in there as well. Go get your roll Arcana. 14. You have a good sense around the bowl, but you don't feel a magical presence sort of coming out.
Okay. Then I explain to the people that I think this brazier is just a source of light.
Okay. This seems to bring relief over the guard a little bit, hearing you say that. He sort of composes himself a little bit, but he's still a little bit, like, he's edgy. And he's looking around, he's checking behind him quite a fair bit as well.
So we should call for the light into the brain.
Later. I suggest we press on.
Okay. And as you start to press on, um, you start to move. One of the ghouls that the Bondi saw before emerged from the south, and has seen you. You hear this great big, you can hear you guys, and starts to lunge forward. This ghoul, he He appears more or less humanoid, but he's got mottled, decaying flesh, drawn tight across clearly visible bones in both his arms and across the knees and such. He's mostly hairless, but he has these carnivorous sharp teeth as well, and very sort of jagged claws as he begins to rush towards you. Um, his eyes burn bright and hot inside its sunken sockets.
Ghoulies, that makes no sense, was it?
I get you to roll initiative.
13.
5.
7.
Gonna be the cowardly guy. He's gonna run. Looks like Doderic just got the arc that right.
Exactly.
Cool. As the ghoul just comes, it just comes running in at an incredible pace, much faster than you expected for something that's dead. It gets right in, leaps on top of the rocks, and has a strike with its claws on top of Lefner. What's your AC?
13.
13.
The 8 armor. That's kind of weight for 8 armor. Well, no, it's 13 plus my dex modifier, and my dex modifier is plus 0.
Ah. Is that higher than your actual AC?
Yes, my
Yeah.
current AC is 11. I'm guessing I don't add much if any of my gear gives me AC.
If you equip it, it should add it on.
Or with Town Guard uniform, my AC is 11. So when I cast Mage Armor, that brings my AC up to 13.
Okay. Cool. Well, this ghoul just comes in and leaps on top of you and just scratches you with its claws. It hits, and I'm just trying to find the details. I need. Yeah. No, initiative doesn't cancel that. Yeah, so -1 will remove 1 from your AC. Yeah. Now, sorry, I need to know, what are each of your races? I know Doderic's halfling, Chug's half orc. What are you? Half elf. Lefner? Half elf. So you take 7 slashing damage as the ghoul just comes in. And can I get you to roll? I keep getting lost in my tabs. A Constitution saving throw, please.
Plus 1. Hang on. Yeah, saving plus 1, 17.
17. So you just take this slashing damage. You feel the burn of the claws as it sort of cuts through your mage armor and then into your flesh on the underneath. And the ghouls is on top of you. He's just like, he just sort of agree. The guard right behind you is like, what the fuck's that? What? And he just sort of takes a step back and takes a good couple of seconds to compose himself. And he just sort of stands there and just watches what happens. Juan, it's your turn.
I would like to cast not really on the people. So
Yep.
Sound imposing and strong. All of that.
Alright, what's he got to roll?
And intentionally make it look like I'm not scared shitless. So yeah, he has to do all that. Has to do wisdom saving throw.
13. He passes.
Oh. Yeah, nothing.
So he passed with a 19.
I would then like to cast as my bonus action, not a spell like that. So, bardic inspiration on Lesnar, and I'd like it to be something about how easy these tools are. Blah blah blah. Just to give that other guy a bit of not shit himself when he takes part.
Alright.
But yeah, just set in the mood that we do this all the time. This guy don't get Lesnar gets bonus inspiration. What do you?
Alright, cool. Next, Rebecca sort of, she's taken aback as this ghoul sort of lands on Lefner, and she sort of just reaches forward and she tends to grapple it and pull it off you. And she does with surprising strength. She just grabs the ghoul with both hands, almost around the scruff of the neck. One hand over the shoulder, one hand just around the neck, and just sort of tosses it and throws it back. And she says like, "Are you okay?" And she sort of throws it and just sort of lands on its back and scrambles up to its feet. Lefter, sorry, it is Doderic's turn next with 7. Sorry. Now, I presume you were in the room with everybody. You just haven't moved your token.
Sure. It doesn't matter, I've got range anyway.
You're in the cave wall there.
I'm a rogue, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Alright. Yeah, we're happy with that? On a rock?
Yeah, that's fine.
I can be like right on it. Like that?
You're above him.
Yeah. I like fucking jump on his back and start having shit.
All right, here's your roll attack.
Now, because the ghoul is within 5 feet of Chug, I can do a sneak attack on my hit. So I'm going to hit with my short sword plus 1.
Yeah, she just grabbed him and just tossed with her action. No, just sort of lost his balance and pulled it off you.
So I got 15 for the first one.
Yep, that hits.
I'll roll attack.
So I'm just going to fill up my water glass. Tell me what you do.
Shut the fuck up. I got 19 damage from the first hit. Because I did my sneak attack with the extra 2d6. So 19.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you how I got 19?
No, I'm just no, that's fine.
So for the first one, it was
No, I'm just more trying to figure out if the sneak attack is if you're actually able to get it.
As long as someone's within 5 feet, then I can do it. Or I can have advantage on his
Oh yeah, so Chug's within 5. So yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, cool. So is that the first one or both? Is that both attack? Okay. What's the second one?
My second.
Yep. In one hit.
I do want to go.
Okay, so for the, I got 1d6 plus 4, and I rolled 5, so that was 9. And then I did my sneak attack, which is 2d6. So the first one I got a 4, and for the second one I got a 6. So 19 total.
Rogues are bullshit.
Then for my second hit, I got 15 to hit again.
Yep, the hits.
And that's just 4 damage.
All right. So you just drive. You got a dagger and a short sword, or 2 daggers,
Short sword.
2 short swords. So you just sort of just come running up, and as the ghoul's sort of scrambling back to his feet, you just dash up and just shove both swords just straight into it and take him back, a few feet or so. And he just sort of grabs it, lets out this big like, ah, and then just sort of keels over and becomes lifeless. Chug and Lefner, you sort of look around and have a look, but at that moment, 3 more ghouls come with the scream. 3 more ghouls come piling out from below the cave. Um, one of them leaps on top of you, Doderic. Can I get you to roll a strength check, please? As it attempts to push you to the ground. I think you can use dexterity against grapple. So yeah,
12.
12. So this ghoul just sort of lands on you, just slams you straight to the ground as it's on top of you. The second one comes piling out. It doesn't quite, with its feet, it just sort of leaps over you and lands in the next space. And the third one is also piling in as well. Lefner, I'll allow you to have your turn here. As we sort of Mulder.
Alright. Ghouls are classed as undead.
Correct.
I'm going to... Alright, well with the one that has sorcery, I'm going to cast Shield Touch.
Yep.
No, because I'm not doing melee attack or running away.
Sorry.
Is that still a thing? Am I going to get a reaction from the one that's right next to me?
If you move, you can attack. It's fine. But if you move away, then it'll hit you.
Okay. Alright, well, will a 12 hit? If it does not hit, I want to use my bardic inspiration.
You don't get to use it like that. You got you got to pick if you want to use it or not.
Well, they're looking like they're unarmored, so their AC is probably about 11. That's what I'm guessing.
Are you staying with the 12?
Yeah.
It hits.
Sorry, I took it. What is it? It is 1d8.
Only just.
That is 2. Okay, so it does 2 damage.
Yep.
It takes 1d8 necrotic damage. I'm not sure if that does any bonus to it, but it can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. Until then, the hand clings to the target. You hit an undead target. It also has disadvantage on attack rolls against you until the end of the turn.
Against you.
Yes. So 2 damage to it.
Cool.
With a hand grab on it, and then with my bonus action, I'm going to cast Misty Step, which is briefly surrounded by a silvery mist, you teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space without moving.
Yep.
Will that trigger a reaction? It doesn't say anything.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's like a blink.
Then I blink to this corner.
Okay. Cool. Chug, you're up. No, I don't. No. Only Lefner has taken damage so far. With where? You're able to reach that one on top of Doderic from where you are without moving. Okay. 18. That hits. Roll damage. At damage. So yeah, you come in with your maul and just, as you said, this big baseball swing, and you just sort of crack it a bit, and you sort of knock it off a little bit. So it just immediately sort of jumps back and almost begins to tear into Doderic once more. Next is so next is the guard's turn. So we're heading back around to the start of the round again. The guard standing there is just like, oh shit! You know, with the bardic inspiration and such, and he's seeing everything going down. He composes himself a little bit and darts towards the closest ghoul, and has a swing with his short sword. Yeah, so he darts in to take a swing, and he sort of sees the ghoul, and he just pauses at it for a second, and it just the hesitation, and he tries to bring the sword out after that, but the ghoul sort of sees him and just anticipates, and just like gnarling at him after that, and he's like, ugh, he's starting to regret his decision. Next one, you're up.
So, just checking. So, take my little shuttle with you, right? Theoretically. And I can attack on that diagonal there.
Yeah.
So we plan like...
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah? Right. I get all up on that. And I start like a double stab at my first ever attack.
Okay.
I'm going in with my short sword first.
Hmm.
How do I short sword? 15.
15. That hits.
I do 4 damage.
Cool. Short sword. Sorry.
Yep, and then I'd like to bring this dagger around, so I don't get the plus 6 until I'm
No.
this, yeah?
No.
Well, that's fucking 6, that's sweet.
Cool. So yeah, with your blades, you just sort of you drive both of them one after the other. It feels a bit awkward because you haven't done this for a while. But that first one, you drive it in and it cuts. you know, just underneath the left shoulder. And as you try to follow up the second one, the ghoul sort of snarls a bit and leaps back a little bit, and you sort of miss. You don't quite get as far as you were hoping. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Looks like we're better friends than you. Then I say that, encouraging or like a little bit of telling.
And he's just sort of like, oh, just haven't seen the dead before. Okay, and he's like reinvigorated, just a little bit, and ready to give it another shot. Rebecca is going. She pulls out her scimitar and she just unsheaths it, and as the unsheath, she tries to cut the ghoul as well. Is that, yeah? Sorry, I didn't know if it was 6 or a 9. And yeah, as she comes in, she just cuts into it. And it's just sort of, it cuts the flesh straight to the bone. You just hear the blade just get stuck of it. She just pulls it through, and the ghoul sort of just screams a little bit. And it's looking pretty hurt too. Doderic, your go. You're currently prone.
Am I grappled or just prone? Because if I'm just kind of
You are prone and grappled.
up, so basically my only option is to try and wrestle out of it. I don't think the ghoul is going to do that. So in getting out of that, am I able to use dexterity or is it strength?
Yeah, you can use both. I'm pretty sure you can use both. I'll check it after the game, but yeah, we'll go with that for now.
Makes sense. Alright, well I will try to get out with my grapple.
Okay.
15.
15. You wrestle yourself free and sort of scurry back and yeah. I presume you're going to stand up.
Yeah.
Yep. So
That gives me half my movement.
I'll say, yeah. So half your movement. Sorry. I was going to say, if you want to scurry to the north space, you're not supposed to be. Oh, not supposed to share spaces. You're a bit different because you can walk on walls. But yeah, you got half your movement, so up to you what you want to do.
Yeah, cool. Well, I might just hang using.
Okay. Are you up against the wall? You're on the wall? You're on the roof?
That's fair. I could just jump under the roof. Yeah, let's say I ran up the wall and then just sat on the roof up there.
Okay. You've still, yeah. I don't know. You would have burnt your action trying to wrestle free. So, yep. Cool. The ghoul that you just wrestled is sort of just washed you up and is just like snarling at you. But you're out of reach, so it leaps at Chug instead. And it attacks you and hits with 21. I take it that hits.
Yeah, 21. 21
yeah. Not 21 damage. It hits with a 21 on its attack roll. Cool. So it's attacking you with its claws, and that is 5 slashing damage. And can I get you to roll a Constitution saving throw, please? Yes. 12? Yep, cool. So you just take the slashing damage, and again, just like Lefter, you feel the burn as the claws sort of sink in. It feels dirty and decaying as the claws sort of scratch over you. It's not like a clean cut. It immediately feels sort of unhealthy, lack of a better term on the fly. it doesn't feel sick. It doesn't feel like it's infecting you, but if as the cut, it wasn't clean and it feels very dirty as it goes through. The second ghoul is going to run up from behind. It's going to take a leap just beside the ghoul at the front, and it's going to leap on top of the guard and attempt to knock him prone and wrestle him. But the guard just managed to anticipate it, and just so with his shield, he sees the ghoul come landing in and puts his shield up and then throws it to the ground. And the third ghoul is going to take a swing at the guard as well. And that's a miss with its claws. It sort of lunges forward with its claws and tries to scratch him. And again, the guard sort of hassles back and parries the blow. That ghoul is now behind after being thrown off. Lefner, it's your go.
The one on the rock appears to be the most empty.
Yes.
Yep. I'm going to aim at the one on the rock with my Eldritch Blast.
Go for it.
The bardic inspiration is a plus 6 die, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that might have just saved us 13.
That's a hit.
Roll a 3. Okay. So what is it? 1d10. 7 damage.
7 damage. Cool. Yeah, you fire off your Eldritch Blast, and as the magic just strikes the ghoul, you just see parts of its flesh and such just flay off and splinter off. It looks really worse for wear.
Okay.
It's still standing. Like, its right arm is, I think, is just sort of, it's still attached, but there's very little flesh, and like part of the bone is sort of splintered off. And you can see it's moving, it appears to be moving slower than where it introduced itself to you.
Reading potions and heal, they say it takes an action on the ground.
So what's that? A
Potion of healing. A character who drinks a magical red bullet.
yes, that's an action.
Drinking your takes an action. Okay. Then in that case, I am just going to stay where I am and like. That's all I can do. Give them positivity. Also, I need to leave like 5 minutes or so.
That's cool. All right, so Chug, you're up.
I take a point.
Got to be quick. 8 for attack. So you take a swing, and again you try with the baseball bat swing. Whoosh! It just nothing but air as it goes across. The guard sort of he steps in, sort of seeing ghoul behind him, ghoul in front of him, and he just drives his sword into the towards the first one. But again, it just misses. It's completely off. It wasn't even close. Who's next? Juan, you're up. Your turn.
The one, it's the one on the rock, the weakest, yeah?
Yeah. So the one of the rocks is it's looking really bad. The one behind him, this one, he's looking worse for wear, and the one that's behind the guard is looking it's undamaged.
Well, I can't get confused, so I can't see on the moon. That's just sad. So I attacked them when I was above the rock. I did
All right,
the same as before, so I attacked with my short sword. So that's 99 plus 4.
that hits.
6. Sweet. And 3 plus 2, 5.
Yep, 5. So with your first attack, you just drive it in to the ghoul and go straight through this area, and you just hear it just scream, ah! But it just becomes lifeless and just falls off the end of the sword as you reef it back.
So, yeah, I killed something. I turn to this one here, and I'm all like, stab it with a dagger in the eye.
All right.
So that's all.
Yep.
And 13 plus
Yep, that hits.
sweet, and dagger in the head. Four, four. Oh, I got 4 plus 2, 6.
6.
I love it.
So you just the one behind you, you just look at it and just drive the sword towards its eye, and it goes straight in. It screams back, pulls back the blade, sort of cuts into this glowing yellowy eye, and it's just sort of dripping off the blade as you rip the eye back out of the ghoul, and it drops down towards off the blade and towards the ground. The ghoul sort of screams a little bit. Rebecca is going to swing at the same ghoul as well with her scimitar. And she comes in with two attacks and goes slash slash, and the first one cuts in, and it just sort of gently just slices across the ghoul. Doderic, your turn. Yes. Hey, I can't tell you how much damage she did, but the ghouls is looking hurt.
I'm gonna drop behind this one and attack with my short sword.
All right.
Because it's within 5 feet of Chunk, still I'll be able to shoot him.
Okay.
So I got 16 hits.
That hits.
So I did 17 damage to the first one.
Yeah. The first one, you just drive your sword just straight through it. You just sort of clean it in two, and the ghoul just flops.
Yeah, that's bad. Can you move twice or?
Yeah, you can use your movement. If you haven't used all of it, you can now use your movement. Yes.
Can I get past Rebecca?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. How much movement have you used?
I used 10.
And what's?
And 20. So that would make it 30 to get back there. So it's dead on my movement.
Yep, that's fine.
25.
You might be right actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's 25.
Yeah. So you won't quite get there.
I can do a ranged attack then.
But you've already used your action, so you can't use your ranged.
Alright, fine. I will just move this back onto the roof, I think. I'll just run up the wall and sit on the roof.
Okay. Well, the ghoul is again going to strike at the guard. But yeah, sort of lunges in for a bite attack and just sort of snaps at his shoulder, and the guard just anticipates it and ducks back. Lefner, your turn.
Okay. Well, there's a remaining ghoul. There's only one left to life.
There's only one left.
Alright, I'll just blast that motherfucker. Oh, I got a natural one.
Natural one. You fire at the ghoul, but it goes wide. It strikes the guard instead. Roll damage.
Well, no, my damage is a D10 plus 3, or he's gonna die. So
12. It smashes into the guard. It just, flesh and such just peel off him underneath his armor. It's him just scream, "What the fuck?" And he just sort of drops his shield, drops his sword, and grabs to his side. And he just winces in pain and screams. Rebecca is a bit like, "Oh, what's just happened?" And she's taken a step back. Chug, it's your go.
I gotta go. You guys kill it. Good luck.
Alright.
You've done your damage.
Take your phone to the heart of what?
I'll stay in the call, but
Yeah, stay in the call, otherwise it messes up all my cameras. Yep. No, that will be the action. If you attempt to leap on top of him and knock him prone, that will be it. Okay. Yep. 12, that hits. Roll damage. Okay. Yep. That's a lot of damage. Jesus. So how much is that altogether? $27 damage. So, Chug, you come charging up beside the school, just channeling energy into your maul. Your maul glows this bright, bright white light. The entire cavern just begins to glow, and you just swing it with this huge amount of strength. And as it strikes the ghoul just disintegrates into this white light. There's nothing left of it. It's just bam, and then it just explosion of light just darts out, completely disintegrated. And yeah, that's the end of the combat. Rebecca's immediately runs up and begins sort of tending to the guy's wounds. The guy, like, he's going in and out of consciousness. He's just rocking back and forwards. Blood's pouring all down his side, and she's just like, "Yeah, help! One of you bastards, help!" He looks really worse for wear. He looks really bad. Alright, how much healing is that? Yeah. 8. Alright, so Chug, you walk up. you walk up to him and just just stop for a second. Your hand glows again with the same light that you charged your maul with, and you just touch near the wound, and the wound just completely seals up. And he's just like, it comes into consciousness. He's like, oh, oh. And he's sort of patting around. You know, his hands just full of blood and such from where it was. He goes, that feels great. Oh, oh, oh. Thank you. Thanks. Alright, and with James gone, we'll finish it there for tonight. With the rest of the cave to explore. What do you want to do, sir?
Just confirm that the ghouls are from the same magic that they
Okay. No. You gotta remember, like it feels like it's been ages, but it's only been like 4 sessions, I suppose, since you last leveled up. And I'll tell you when you do. No. No.
That's all we asked. You wanted to do yes or no.
Very good. Alright, well, 2 weeks from today should be good, I think. Although, is that my birthday? That may be my... Oh no, that is 2 days after my birthday. It is Australia Day weekend. It's a long weekend. Alright. So Australia Day is the Saturday, the Monday is a public holiday. So...
I can. Actually, I might not be able to do Monday night.
That's alright. By the way, I'm doing a barbecue or something on my birthday, so if you want to make it down, that's a Saturday. Up to you guys, if you want to come down or not.
Apple can drive me.
It'll be 40 degrees. You wait and see.
I'm expecting that. Then it's pretty much the same as job number 1. So,
Yeah, I got a sprinkler.
I also can't do the Tuesday for sure.
Alright.
I think I can do the Monday. That's kind of a maybe. So if we wanted to say block those 2 out, I'll do Monday or Tuesday.
Alright, well let's try for Thursday, because I may be playing squash on the Wednesday.
Okay.
So Thursday 31st. We'll put that in as a tentative and see if we can make that one. Cool.